Saturday night, so thanks for staying. What we are doing today in this session, we are going to learn Microsoft Planner automation and how we can use Power Automate to automate some of the Planner activity that generally we do. And also we will see some basics of Planner and also in Power Automate what is available to automate the Planner. A little bit about myself. So again, I am a post Microsoft MVP. I'm a community super user in Power Automate. So if you guys are active in Power Automate community, you might have seen my name there. And I'm also a Houston Power Platform user group leader with Reza. So we both run this user group at Houston. We are running it because everything is virtual right now. So we are not really having every month session anymore. We have changed to quarterly, maybe once everything comes back to normal. We will start in-person event, and this is something really great initiative. The user groups are really great. If you guys are not part of any, I would say go ahead and become a part, or if there is no user group in your area, you can actually start with one with Microsoft. So give a try. I also have a YouTube channel. There's a link, my Twitter and my LinkedIn if you want to connect. So I'll start jump in. I don't want to waste a lot of time on talking things. So if you guys already using Microsoft Planner, then you might have know that this is a lightweight project management or task management solution in M365 suite. It came a long time back, and it is very powerful in a way that you can easily and very simple way organize your teamwork. And when I say easy and simple way, because you don't need to really develop anything. It's very similar to SharePoint, where you can just go ahead and start using it. Similarly, Planner is just there. You go ahead, you create your plan, you create your grouping, and then you start creating tasks, assigning them. And then from there, you can either make it more advanced using the automation, or you can use it as it is, what it is providing. It is very easily accessible across different devices. So if you are using a different device, or your teammate or your company using different device like mobile, tab, or laptop, it is all available. And the experience is very seamlessly. In Planner, what you can also do, you can not only just create one single plan for one single team. What you can do, you can create multiple plans. And plan is nothing but you can call them a program under which you can create multiple grouping of different tasks. And that grouping in Planner called bucket. So you create a plan, then you create multiple bucket inside it. And then for each bucket, you can create different tasks. And these tasks you can assign to a team who actually you make the part of that plan. And not only that, the planner is also have very robust and extensive connectivity or integration with other tools like Outlook, Excel, and Teams using Power Automate. And that's what we are going to see today, that how we can actually extend the automation or how we can use Power Automate with the planner to extend the functionality. Then we have Power Automate. As you all know, Power Automate is part of one of the product or one of the pillar in Power Platform. Power Platform is consist of Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate and Power Virtual Agent. Power Automate is the automation pillar that allow us to not only connect with any other Power Platform product, but also you can connect with Planner, Excel, Outlook. So it provide that entire umbrella or actions or connector to connect any of these different M365 tool. And not only M365, you can extend that to some other Microsoft services like Azure, Dynamics, or even some other third-party application if they have the API available for you to connect. The little bit on the Power Automate, when it came, I think a couple of years back, it was really great idea to have this Power Automate in the Power Platform suite, because with Power Automate, you don't need to write a lot of code or logic to create these advanced automation. And when I say advanced automation, what you can do, you can automate most of the work that generally people spend a lot of time. Like, for example, going through an Excel file and moving that Excel data to SharePoint. You have a direct action in Power Automate that you can just do a few click and you can do that automation. Or let's say you want to create an approval. So whenever an item created in SharePoint or somewhere else, you want to send an email for the approval, there is an action for that. If you want to collect the data, let's say you are working on a very global environment where multiple people sending a multiple Excel file every day. You want to collect all of them, consolidate them, and put them into one place. There is an action or trigger for that in Power Automate. And at the similar note, that's what we are going to try. So the use case that we are going to try to do today is, yes, planner, you can create plan, you can create task, you can create bucket, and all of that you can do manually. What about if you are getting some Excel with lots of tasks and you want to just get all the tasks, process them, and put into the planner automatically? So that's what we will do, and we will actually build that on the go. In Planner, in the Power Automate, there are lots of actions and triggers available to automate Planner. Okay, when I say trigger, if you are using Power Automate, you know trigger is something that the event that's going to start that flow. And you can have trigger like when a task assigned to me. So you can create an automation, or let's say an email notification you want to send when a task is assigned to you. You can use Power Automate Flow to create that automation. So whenever a task is assigned to you in the planner, your flow will trigger and you will get that notification or whatever logic you want to write in there. Then you have when a new task is created. So let's say you want to create some, or you want to do something when a new task is created in the planner. You have a trigger for that as well. Or when a task is completed. So when something is complete, maybe you want to send a notification to the entire team that, hey, this work is completed. You have a trigger for that as well. So these are the trigger. These are the event that start the planner. Then we have actions. Action is something what you can do after the trigger or using other Power Automate trigger. There are a lot of actions. I just list few of them. For example, create a task. So you can automatically create a task in the planner. You can automatically create a bucket in the planner. You can get a task. You can get all the task detail, or you can list all of your tasks and many more. And I'll show you when I jump into the browser that what all different actions are available. So there are many actions are available. Now, some of them you may think that, okay, why I need to use it, because I can do it directly in the planner, perfectly fine. But when you try to do an automation, these actions are very useful, and we are going to use most of them, if not all. Okay, that was a quick presentation. Don't want to spend a lot of time in the presentation. Let me quickly jump onto the browser. So how to access the planner? You just need to go to task.office.com. This will let you log into your planner site. Once you are in the planner, what you will see here, this is the Planner Hub. Planner Hub is nothing but it will show you all the different plan that you are part of. So if you are working in the different team and you are part of different plan, it will list all of them here. Then from here, you can actually click on any of these plan. Let me go here. This is your plan board. Plan board is nothing but it is showing you different tasks under this plan. Now I'll quickly walk you through this different tab, what it means and what you can do out of the box. And then we will jump on to the actual creating actual flow to automate the same activity. Okay. So board, as I said, is showing you all the different tasks that are there. If you go all the way to the right, you can see this group by. Now you had multiple options where you can just group by them. So you can group by bucket. As I said, bucket is nothing but a grouping of different tasks all together. So I have these different tasks that has not been assigned to any bucket. So they don't have any category. They are just open tasks under this plan. Then I have this to do, and this is going to be by default a bucket that will create when you create a new plan. And then this community work that I created, so I can see all those tasks. Then I can also do the group by assigned to. So now I'm seeing the different people and their tasks that are assigned to them and anything that is unassigned. You can do you can do by the progress. It's like a status. So whether task is not started or in progress or completed. And then you have some other by due date, by labels. So there are multiple labels that you can tag a particular task. The labels like has a color coding in it. So pink, red, yellow, green. This is good if you are working on like a very big team and there are a lot of tasks. So you can just categorize them in a label. So it is easy to group them and see what is the status of that particular label. And then also the priority. So whether it's an urgent task, important, medium, low, you can define all of that. So this is all here available for team to use grouping and everything, right? Then there's also the inbuilt chart or the status report is available that you can quickly come and see. It will show you the status. This is very static report. When I say static, it means you can't really do click through it, but this will give you a good picture of where you are standing as a whole. As I can see here, the status not started, in progress, late, completed, and I can see all the different bucket, priority, and different member and how they are working. So for example, you can see these are all the 33 unassigned tasks. There are 5 in progress for me and 3 are late. So I can see all the information at the single location, and of course I can do more grouping and filtering here. There's also inbuilt calendar here. So this will show you in a calendar view. What you can also do, there's one more automation. You can actually take this entire, all the tasks, and you can add this plan to your Outlook calendar. So you will have these tasks, those are listed here, will be available to the Outlook calendar, and then from there you can actually operate them as needed. Okay, so these are the few out of the box features. There's one more out of the box feature that a lot of people ask me, can I export this entire, all the tasks into the Excel? So you don't need to write any flow or anything for that because there is a direct action. So you can export this entire plan to Excel, and let me try to do that. And once you do that, it's going to actually create this Excel. Let me open that. And it will actually give you all the information. It will give you the plan name and plan ID. Now these IDs are useful if you want to do further automation. Let's say you export this information, give it to your team, and they update it in bulk, and then you want to push it back to the planner. Then you need these IDs, so you can keep it, hide them for the end user, and once you are doing automation, you can use them. But this is all the information that you have seen here exported with all the detail. Just one click. Okay. Now I was showing you all the planner, what you can do. You can, of course, you can click on any task. You can update the information, right? You can add an attachment. You can create some checklist item here. All of this is perfectly fine. Then why we need automation, correct? What is the need for it if it is doing everything that we need? So what, as of today, you can't do, you can't really bulk create these tasks in Planner. You have to just go one by one. So that's where we need the automation. And as I said, the use case is, let's say I'm going to jump onto the planner that is empty right now. So let's say this is my plan. Okay. And in this plan, I don't want to create these tasks manually because I'm receiving an Excel with all different tasks in it. And I want some process where I can automatically take that Excel, go through it, and create these tasks automatically. Okay, and then so this is the part one. The second part is I also want to create those checklist items that I was showing you. So if I go here, each task can have multiple checklist item here, right? Checklist is nothing but much more granular work that you wanted to do under a given task. So let's say task can be collect information, and the checklist item can be that log into this particular website, download this file, do this 5 different item, and then only you can complete the task. So if you want to do automatically create the checklist item also, that also we can do. And if time allow, maybe we can see the third part, that is updating an existing task. So let's say I got an Excel with the task and the checklist. I created these entire tasks automatically. Now let's say the Excel has changed, the team has updated some information, and they send me the updated Excel. Can I update these tasks? Yes, we can. So we will see if times allow, we will try to do that as well. Okay. So before we move forward, let me quickly show you the flow that I have in working, and then I will actually create the flow on the fly as well. So give me 1 minute. Let me open the flow for you. Okay, so right now what I have the SharePoint site where I have this Excel, okay, in my SharePoint site. It can be in OneDrive, or it can also be coming in Outlook as an email, okay? So I have this simple Excel. I have these different tasks listed here, okay? This is my plan name, this is my bucket name, priority, who it assigned to, and the due date, okay, and percentage completed. And then I have another tab that is for checklist, and where I'm having few of the checklist item and for these different tasks. So the task name is coming from the task name in this task list. So that's how I'm relating it. Now, for this demo, I'm using the name, but you can also have an ID, maybe the task ID that you can use as to create the relation between the task and the checklist. Now, what I want a flow that will go through this checklist and the task item, automatically go through it, create the task into this planner tutorial. Okay, so let me go through it and run this flow. And I'll tell you why I'm using this manual trigger. It should be scheduled, or it can be scheduled as well. The reason I'm using the manual is just to save the time. Otherwise, because schedule flow, we need to wait for it. So the flow is started, and hopefully it will work. Now, if I go back to my planner here, and as you can see here, tasks are getting created. And if I go and change it to assign to, you can see. So this is how the flow is working, going through that Excel file, reading all the information, and not only just creating the task. If you look, this is small icon here. This is showing the checklists, 1 out of 2, right? So I had around 4 checklists, and as you can see here, all of them are created. Let me see, flow still running, still creating. There are, I think, 8 or 10 checklists or the tasks that I have. Completed, and I have all of my tasks created within maybe few seconds, I would say. And let me open this particular task. So you can see here, right, this task. And if I go back to the SharePoint, let's try to see where the task was. So this is complete next week demo prep. This was the task, right? If I go to the checklist, it has 2 checklist items. Okay. One is true and one is false. That means one checklist item is completed. So not only it's creating the checklist item, it is also making sure that whatever status of that checklist item or the task that you are passing is actually passing correctly. So from the Excel, this one item was completed. So it is coming in as completed, but it's still listed here. And then other one was not, so it is demo prep. Okay, wonderful. So let's see how we can build this. Let me go back to my flow, and we're going to start in the flow.microsoft. I'll try to see quickly, because of course it will take some time, but we will go quickly. And as I said, you can, of course, you don't need to create a manually trigger flow. You can create a schedule flow, and the schedule flow can be running every day, or you can create an automated flow where you can say, whenever I receive an email, and if the email has this particular Excel, the task file, then trigger this flow and go through everything. Okay. Because we are receiving these tasks in Excel, so I'm going to use the Excel connector here. And what we need to do, we need to say get rows, because this is what we need. We need to get all the rows from the Excel, and then go through everything. So list row present in the table. It's going to ask you the location where your file is. So let me find my SharePoint site. I think it is, yep, this one. I am storing my file in the document library, and then let me find my file name. Okay, so I have another file that I'm going to use. So this one, my task 1, this is the file that we are going to use to run the flow. Okay, and then it's going to ask that which table you want to use. And let me quickly show you the table information also. So if you know that for Power Automate to read an Excel file, the data should be in a tabular format or in an Excel table. So this is one of the requirements that you may have, that if you want to read the data from Excel, make sure the data is in a tabular format or in a table. So there's the name of the table is table 1 and the checklist table is table 2. Okay. So this is the first thing that we do. Next, what we need to, we are going to initialize some variable, and I'll tell you why we need those variables once we use them. So I'm going to search for variable and initialize the variable. So first variable is the task name. Okay. It's a string. And I'm just going to keep it empty as of now. Then another variable that we need is for task ID. Okay, so we get the rows from the Excel. Then we initiated two variables. Now let's say next step. The next step is where the planner automation came in. So I'm going to search the planner here. Okay, and once you click on the planner, so this is what is available right now for us to use. If I go to the trigger, this is what I was showing initially. We have 3 triggers right now that you can use if you want to trigger your automate from the planner event, right? So when a task is assigned to you, when a new task is created, or when a task is completed. We are not triggering this flow from the planner event, so we are not going to use any trigger here. But then we have an action. In the action, this is all the different things that you can do to planner using Power Automate. You can create task, you can assign the task, create the bucket, get task, plan detail, task detail, list all of the task, list all of the bucket, update a task and update task detail, and remove the assignee. So there's a lot of like all the basic operations that generally you need to do with any task management tool. There is an action for that. So you can actually automate most of the planner activity that generally you do. What we are doing today, we are getting these task information from the Excel, and then we are going to create task, right? Now, if you notice here, there are 2 actions for create task preview and create a task. This is like generally available. The only difference between these two, the create a task preview has one more additional properties to update the priority. Okay, and let me quickly show you. So if I pick the create task, if you look at here, it's asking me all the information like group ID, plan ID, title, start and end date, assigned to, and the label that I want to define, but it doesn't have the priority. If I remove this and add again, and if I use the preview action, so you can see the priorities here. So that's the only difference. So Microsoft team is regularly working on these different connections and actions and updating it. So you may need to just keep a note or keep an eye on that what has been changing. Generally preview are in preview, so they may change. But for this demo, I'm just using it for the demonstration. But if you are creating this for the production use, the recommendation is always use the one that is available, not in preview. Okay. So group ID, let me quickly check what is the we are going to create for planner tutorial. So I'm gonna pick the planner tutorial from here. Okay, so that's the group, and if you notice, that's my group where this task plan has been created. And next, I'm gonna pick my plan ID. So there's a planner tutorial. Okay, so the title, right? So title, if you notice here, now because I have connected to the Excel, I'm getting all the different columns that I have in Excel. So title, I want to be the task name. Whatever task name I have in my Excel, that should be the task name. And if you notice, as soon as I select the task name, Power Automate has already automatically added this apply to each, because it noticed that this task name can be repetitive information. because we can have more than one row in Excel. Okay, so this is like automatically helping us. Then we have the bucket IDs. That's the community work that we have. Then we have the start time. So for the start time, because I don't have the start time in Excel, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just use a very simple expression. And again, this is just for the demonstration. Add days, and I'm going to copy the task name. Okay, go to the start time, go to expression. Just paste there. And why I did that, because I wanted to get this information. So what this is saying items into the apply to each. So this information will give me the current item on this loop. Okay, if I have 10 rows, then each time when I'm in the first row, this will give me the first item, second item, third item, and going on. Then after that, this is syntax for column. So I get the item, question mark. The question mark in Power Automate help us to check whether it is null or not. So if you put a question mark after this action, it will check, and if it is null, then it will just discard instead of failing this flow. Okay, then the bracket, single quote, and then you just need to type the name of the column. So here I'm typing the due date because that's my column name. Okay, so what I'm saying, give me the due date from the Excel. Okay, so this will give me the due date for the current item. And because I'm using add days, it's an function in Power Automate, and what it does, it adds the number of days to the given date that you are giving. So we are giving the due date, and I'm just adding -5. So what I'm saying, whatever the due date that I'm getting from the Excel, just remove 5 days and make that as a start date. Okay, and why I'm doing it, because there is a check in the planner that you cannot have a start date that is past the due date. Okay, so your task should be start before the due date, and this is just a check. It's not necessary. If you are already getting the start date from your actual Excel, you can just use the direct field here. Okay, and then I just need to give the format for the date. So I'm just using simple formatting, this y by y mmtt. Okay, so this is how I'm automatically calculating the start date. Rest due date is very simple. I'm going to just select the due date here, assign to. Okay, I'm not getting these labels from the Excel, so I'm going to leave them blank. But I am actually getting the priority, if I'm not wrong. So this is another example. If in case, like for example, in this case, I'm not getting any intelligence anymore, right? So if I click on this date, and if you don't get any intelligence, what you can do, as I said, go to expression, copy any of the field, and if you don't want to copy, you just need to type items and then pass the name of the loop that you have. And here what we have is apply to each. If I rename this, just use that name. Okay, and then question mark, bracket, single quote, and then you need to pass the name of the column. Click OK, and that's it. Okay, let me click save. So what we have done so far, we get all the tasks, and now we are creating the task one by one. Now let me talk through the variable that we define. If I go back to the Excel, right? The flow is going to go through this Excel. It's going to get the first task. It's going to create that task. But I also want to make sure that once the task got created, I have this task ID column, right? I want to make sure that this task ID aligned to the task ID that is getting created in the planner. So I want to update this task so that later, if I want to make any changes to that task, I know which task and what ID it is. Because you can just create the same task with the same name in planner. So you need that unique ID from the planner. So this is where what we will do. We'll go to the variable and do the set variable here. Okay. First, we need to do the task name. Okay. I'm going task name, and then I'm going to select the title. The second action I will do, another variable that we have the second variable here. Okay, task ID. And if you look at the create task action here, you will get the ID of this task here. Okay, so we updated those two variables that we have created. We assigned the task name and also the ID. Then what we need to do, we will go to the Excel again. Okay, and then we will say update a row. Location and document library, of course, we know where I'm working right now. So I'm going to just select my site and the documents, the file, and the table. So this information won't change, right? So I selected all that information. Now the main information is the key column. So when you are updating in Excel from the planner, from the Power Automate, you need to provide the key column and what is the value of that column. So in our case, the key column is the task name. Okay, and the value is going to be the variable that we have. So either you can use this variable or you can actually use just the title that is coming from here. So they both have the same information if you look at here, right? And the next, what we are updating the task ID. So I'm going to select the ID here. Okay, these variable I'm setting because we are going to use those variables later and also in the update. So done. So what we have done so far, we got the rows, we created the task, and now we are updating the task. Okay, let me save it. And actually, let me quickly back to this planner, and we might need to delete all of them because otherwise it won't create. So let me just clear all these tasks. Okay, so now my planner is empty. Everything is good. So now what I'm going to do, save it, and let's run it. Let's see what happened, if it failed or if it completed successfully. When you run it first time, of course, it's going to ask you for the connection and permission. We are using two different products, Excel and the planner. They're saying that, okay, should I use it? Click continue. It will create those connections. Click run flow. And if demo god is with us, it will complete it successfully. If not, then we will see why it is failing. Fail. So let me see what happened here. Okay, so let me see. It's getting the date time problem here. Okay, let's see. If we have the date time correctly, it is. Should work. Let me copy the. Okay, so our action is this. Let's try again. And as I said, this particular step is not really necessary. So if it doesn't work, then I'm going to just give some date that is way past. Okay. Okay, so it's not working yet. Okay, this is a good point. Actually, this is a very good point. So if you're working in Excel, this is actually, I'm very happy that this error comes in. If you're working in Excel, right? When you use the list row present in the table and you see, always make sure that you click on this show advanced option. And if you look at the date time format, you need to make sure that it is changed to this. Otherwise, what going to happen, if you have remember, and if you are using the Power Automate previously, we didn't had this option previously. And in Excel, the date when you try to automate the Excel, the the date comes as a number, like you will get some long number 4300 or something. It's a conversion of the date to the serial number. Recently, the flow has actually improved and they have this option, so we can select now that what format we want this output to. Default is serial, so this is what happened. We have not set it up. Now I think if I run this thing, it should work. Because we have not changed that format, it was getting the date in that serial number and it was not understanding that what's going on there. Yeah, so now it should work. Okay, yep, so flow got completed successfully. Let me, where I have created that one. As you can see, right? So all the tasks got created, and if I group them by assigned to, you can see all of them are created, whatever we have there, but this is just the creation of the task. And flow itself is not very complex. It's very simple flow, as you have noticed. It's just getting the rows and creating those tasks. Now, what about the checklist, right? We also wanted to create the checklist. So for the checklist, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another variable. Still have time. I think we can do the update as well. I'll initialize another variable here. And this time I'm going to call it checklist item. And this is type array. And why we are selecting this as a type array, because as you know, one task can have one or many checklist item. Okay, so we want to collect all of them together and then go through one by one and create that checklist item under that given task. The next, what we will do, we will, after the update row, I'm going to add another Excel action. Very similar what we have did previously, list represent in the table. I'm going to connect to the same list or same library and the same file. But this time there will be one small change that we need to do. The table is table 2 because now I want data from my checklist table, not from the task. Okay, I'm going to change that. And then I need to use the filter query as well. And why I'm using the filter query, because I want to get from this checklist only the task, only the checklist item, those are belongs to a given task. So when I'm going through this list, going through each and every task, I'll go through this task first as a flow, create this task, then I'll again try to get all this checklist item, but then I will filter this list for this given task name. So that's what you need to do, this filter query. Filter query is also very straightforward. The task name, that's the name of the column that we have in Excel, equals, it's just EQ, single quote, the task name. Okay, and single quote close. So what we are saying that get all the rows from the checklist item, but filter them for this particular task that we have right now. Okay, and then next action that we need to do is search for the variable, set the variable. This time I'm going to select my checklist item. In here, if I go to expression, I'm going to type null. Okay, click OK. Now why we are doing this? So because this is an array, and in the next step, I'm going to actually add these checklist item that we are getting from the Excel to this array. If we don't empty it, this is like setting it to null or emptying it. If we don't do that, then what will happen? You will have one task. It will get all the checklist item for that task it will create. But if you don't clear it, the next task will have its checklist item plus the previous one because you are not clearing it. So before assigning any new checklist item to this variable, you need to make sure that you are clearing it so that it can be empty before you add more to it. Okay. Now, before assigning anything here, let's search for the planner. Okay. Now, if you notice all the action, there is nothing or no action here that can actually tell you that, okay, create checklist item. Okay, so there's no action for that. So how you will do that? There is an action called update task details. Select that. Now, if you notice this action, what it is asking the task ID, so that we know. Click on the drop down all the way down, enter custom value. And this is the task ID. You can use this or you can use the variable. It doesn't matter. Okay. And then the description I'm not updating. But if you notice the top part here, this is for the file attachment. Let me show you that. So every task has these two properties. You can attach the files or you can attach the checklist item. This section is for attaching the file. The second section is for the checklist item. And this is an array. So you can actually add multiple checklist item if you just want to do it manually. We are not doing it manually, and we are not really even doing manually in the flow as well. We are just creating this variable that we have created to get all the checklist item detail and then creating automatically. So you just need to create on this small icon here. Okay. And before I do that, let me just put something here. So let's say ID is 1, title is sample. Okay, and then I'll say no. Now if I click on that, so this is the structure that this particular property is looking for. It's looking for an array or a JSON formatted array. This represent one checklist item. You need to pass the ID, title. It's checked as means whether it is completed or not. Okay. So what we need to do, we need to create or update this checklist item array with this information. Okay, so let's click the plus icon just after we are setting this variable. You're going to go to the variable and set variable, and then checklist item. In the value, what you can do, just copy this section, not everything, but this one. Paste it here. Okay, and then we need to automate this thing, right? So instead of this one, I'm going to select the ID, and from where I'm getting this ID, I have in my checklist Excel. Okay, so click inside these double quotes, select ID. As soon as you do that, as you notice, there is another apply to each automatically added because there can be more than one checklist item. Okay, title is coming from the checklist title. I think that's the column that we have. Yes. And then whether it is completed or not, this is what you need to use a formula. Okay. Because if you notice in my Excel, I'm just passing these true false, but this is actually just a text when I'm going to come in here. So I'll go to the expression and let me actually copy it from my previous one. So I will save time. Okay, so the formula is very simple. It is start with if, okay, then I'm saying equals, that's another function. In our case, this is apply to each name of the loop. So as I explained earlier, this will give you the current checklist item that you are working on. Completed is coming from the last column that we have. So if that is false, then I'm just passing the false. And if it is true, if it is not false, then I'm passing the true. Okay, simple, very simple formula. Click OK. So if this value that we are getting is false, then I'm just passing the false. If it is not, then I'm passing the true. To do that, and after that, in this update task list, the only thing you need to do is just remove this one and use the variable. Okay, click save. Now before we move forward, I need to clean that list again so we can actually create that. the reason I'm deleting everything every time because we have not yet added the update. So if I don't do that, it may gonna just duplicate the same task again. It will be very confusing. Okay, so that is cleared. Now, if I go back to the task, I think we have done everything. Let's test this again. Okay, let's see if this time it fails. Sometimes the error is good because when you get an error, you learn something. Okay, so I think it's working. It's creating the task, and let's see if it is going to create the checklist item as well. Okay, so it fails. Let's see why it fails. Let me back, let it complete. Okay, so this is interesting. Let me check this out. Okay, hold on. It's an array, that's correct. Okay, let me try again. Let's see what happened. It should work. Or maybe we can just leave it empty this time. Let's see what happens. Might want to duplicate the task though this time. Okay, so this is giving some issue here. Okay, so let's see if this worked this time. If not, then I'm gonna just show you the flow that I have that was working. I'm not sure what's going on here. I may need to look into this, but this should work. There's no way it cannot work. And meanwhile it's running, let me actually show you the flow that I was showing you previously. So this is the original flow. Very similar. In the list represent, we got all the tasks, right? And then we are just defining these variables. This is the variable that I think giving us the problem, the checklist item type array. And then if you look here, this is very similar. We have not done the update part, but this is the left hand side we did. And then of course we have done this part, checklist item. As you know, we have already got this item, and this is where it was failing. I'm not sure. I need to go back and check why it was failing in that flow. But this is where we are initializing that flow, that variable to the null, and very similar. You're just getting creating that array, updating the checklist item, right? So this was the task. I'm not sure why it is failing here. It's giving me a little bit of interesting. Delete for now. I'm going to just delete this one. Let's run it so it can work, and then we can move forward with this. And meanwhile, let me clear the planner. Okay, so as I said previously, right, it's gonna just duplicate those tasks if you don't clean. So it has actually did that. But now if I move forward here, let's see. Right, let it run. Yeah, so I may need to check. It's not really giving a good sense here. But this is what you can do. So you can actually create, and this flow is there available to download if you want to just download this flow. I'm going to share the link later on. And then the part that we have not completed, I think we are almost on the time, is the update. So for checking or updating the task, if you already created, till here we were actually creating the task. So this part has been done. But if you want to also update the task, what you need to do before creating, we need to check if the task ID column. So we have this task ID column in our Excel, right? So we need to check if this task ID column is empty or not. And if you remember, we were actually updating this task ID column after creating the task. So if it is empty, that means the task has not yet created into the planner. You can go and create the task. But if it is not empty, then the action that we are going to use, the update task, again, it's another action in the planner. What it requires, the task ID that you are already setting up or you are getting from the Excel. So you just need to pass the task ID and then pass the information that you want to update. For example, percentage complete or any other information that you want to update. Most probably it's going to be percentage complete because that's what it's going to change, or the assignment also you can change. Once you do that, it's very similar. You just need to update these variables and provide the title and the ID for the checklist item if there is more checklist item has been added or removed. And once you do that, it's all completed and you can have your planner automation is done. And as I said at the beginning, this doesn't need to be from Excel or coming from Excel. This can be any other area. You can have these tasks coming from Outlook, or you can have these tasks coming from some other way, like from other system as well. The concept is just using the flow, getting the task, getting that information, and then updating it, and then keeping in the sync so you can actually update based on the ID. So I think we only left 7 minutes left, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure why this was not working. Maybe I'll try to see and maybe post the later that what was the issue there. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. Any other questions? Any thought? I will leave it 7 minutes for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. So what I have to say is that this was an excellent session for teaching someone how to start developing in Power Automate, right? Because anyone who's an IT pro in the Microsoft space, whether you're from Dynamics, Power Apps, Microsoft 365, I believe you'll be spending most of your time in Power Automate. So for those who haven't built Power Automate or started using Power Automate, this scenario that Deepak is showing you is a perfect example of a Power Automate you'd use to solve a certain business scenario. I like the fact that you were using the initialization variables and showing the users how to use that to solve certain logical requirements in the Power Automate flow, Deepak. So thanks once again for actually having the confidence of building a Power Automate flow from scratch in front of the full audience. So that's really, really good. And to be honest, Deepak, I think moving forward, our boot camps are going to be more focused on actually walking through such scenarios and building them out. And I think you've taken the step to do that. So once again, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm still want to make sure that you guys try it, because that initializing null with the for that array, it works. Sometimes Power Automate behave very strange. So that's it. But yeah, go ahead and give it a try. And I think someone asked a question about the planner and Outlook. I think that you already answer. Yes, the planner is more. So there are right now actually in M365, there is multiple ways you can create tasks. You have Outlook, of course, that was there. You have planner. You can also create tasks in a to-do list. There is a to-do list that comes with your Windows. You can create those tasks also. So there's multiple ways. They're all different, but you can sync them together. That's the key. So do not duplicate these tasks into each different area, but you can keep them in sync. So for example, as I said at the beginning, you can have all of these tasks and add them to the Outlook calendar. So you don't need to create that Outlook task, or you can have Power Automate to sync them. So you just keep those tasks at one place, but see them in every other task management tool that M365 have.
So what you're saying there, Deepak, is that the best practice is to tell your users to create the tasks in one specific place, and then they get surfaced everywhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because otherwise, that's what happened. You have so many different task management tool available in M365. And this is what I'm seeing personally. People start getting confused that, oh, I have one task in Planner, or I have one task in Outlook, or I have one task in maybe created in SharePoint task list. Now, which one is what I'm doing? So it's rather pick one tool and then just spread that. Means maybe you can have all your tasks in SharePoint task list, but you want your users to work on them in multiple ways, then you just sync them all together.
Yeah, awesome. And Udaya has also mentioned that, yes, basically confirming what you've just said there, Deepak, that the Outlook tasks are in Exchange. The planner is for project and management tasks. However, both of them can be accessed via the Microsoft Graph API. Fantastic. And Akath is also saying Outlook tasks to do planner, are they not all in sync? So again, Deepak has answered your question by saying no, they're not all in sync. However, you can synchronize them. Yeah. Okay, so Aziz has a question, which is, do you have a document to show what are all the actions, such as like get a row available to the related Excel?
Yes, actually, so I can ping. So this is the Microsoft documentation link. Let me paste it there. This will give you all the actions that are available with all the details. And then here in the left hand side, if you look at it actually listed all the different type of product that you can have. So this is very extensive and exhausted list that Power Automate can support. Okay, this is for the planner, and if you look for the Excel, you can just Google search it. So then you have Excel Online for business, and then you can have all the actions for Excel. So this is what I think you are more interested to. So this is where you can just pin this particular URL and you will get all the information. If you are not logging into Power Automate, if you want to much simpler way, you can just log into your Power Automate, and then from there, as I said, you can just go here, and when you search for your product that you like to see. So for example, Excel, and then this small icon will take you to the same documentation that I was showing you. So you can quickly go here if you want any other any other product that you like to see.
That's fantastic, Deepak. That's really, really helpful. So Deepak, to wrap up your session, would you please share your contact details in the chat so
Yes.
that the attendees can connect with you and keep up to date with what you're up to?
Yep. Give me 1 minute.
And whilst you do that, Deepak, do you have any announcements to make regarding anything coming up?
Yeah, so as I said beginning, I also have a YouTube channel. So every week I try to create some video on a topic. The next video is very interesting and very important because I'm not sure it's on Power Automate, of course. And what happening right now, we are creating, and this is personally I'm seeing with my team, there are a lot of duplication of the effort happening. We are creating same flow and same type of flow, same actions again and again. So I'm going to create this new video that's coming is going to be more how you can create the reusable flow in Power Automate. So you can create once and that will become like your a component in Power App and the reusable here. You can repeat and use it in any other flow that you like. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. So that I think that's going to be very important for if you're working in multiple clients and production flow. This is very important.
Well, thank you, Deepak. So we're at the end of the event now. I think it was a great way of closing off the event. I think, to be honest, you know, showing a real case scenario and building it out. I think it really helped the community to understand how to leverage the connections to the estate, to the Microsoft 365 estate, and connect them. I'm using Power Automate. As well as complementing the previous session on Graph API as well. So I think that was really, really good way of kind of closing things off and helping people to understand where they should invest their time in what's going to help them solve their immediate organization needs. So once again, thank you, Deepak, for joining us all the way from the United States. Deepak, thank you for sharing your contact details as well. I hope to meet you in person at some point in the very near future, as we all do.
Yep, definitely. I was waiting for that. It's been a while.
Definitely, definitely. So we're looking forward to next year's in-person events. So we're looking forward to all of them that are happening and really, really look forward to seeing you in person. For those who want to obviously carry on attending the virtual boot camps, we do have our next boot camp is next month. It's the Customer Self-Service Boot Camp, which is focused on Power Virtual Agents and Power Portals. So if you want to learn how to create chatbots and self-service portals, learn how to build them on the Power Platform, then that's the one to attend. It's a very exciting one indeed, and that's next month. So once again,